Hello everyone, it's Mrs. Sumerlin and I am here to talk to you about Elie Wiesel's Night. But first let's clear this. Alright, good. Okay, so we're going to talk about this section from Night, this little excerpt here that is incredibly powerful. And of course Night is an overwhelmingly powerful book, but we're going to look at this section in more depth. And we're going to use the 5S strategy that we've talked about in class. So if you don't know what that is, here we go, the 5S strategy. If you don't have this handout, it's available on Google Classroom, and you can always email your teacher, but you should have gotten one in class. Now we're going to look specifically at the last one down here, syntax, because it usually is a little bit tricky to analyze syntax, so we wanted to go over it together. So here I am. Now you might say, Miss Sumerlin, what is syntax? Well, funny you should ask. Syntax is the arrangement of words or phrases to create well-formed sentences. This is how you put the words into sentences and how you arrange these sentences to make a statement or an impact. Because we all know that you can write a straightforward sentence, but we also know that playing with word order like Yoda does, you know, do or do not, there is no try. There's something artsy about that, and it makes a stronger impact. And this excerpt does a pretty good job of showing you the power of syntax. So let's look a little bit more closely. Never shall I forget that night, the first night in camp that turned my life into one long night 7 times sealed. Never shall I forget that smoke. Never shall I forget the small faces of the children whose bodies I saw transformed into smoke under a silent sky. Never shall I forget those flames that consumed my faith forever. Never shall I forget the nocturnal silence that deprived me for all eternity of the desire to live. Never shall I forget those moments that murdered my God and my soul and turned my dreams to ashes. Never shall I forget those things, even were I condemned to live as long as God himself. Never. So, obviously one of the things we see immediately is the short, sharp end of this, that one-word sentence, never. It's just a powerful punch of a sentence. But if you look at the rest of the sentences here, starting at the beginning, you'll notice that, you know, you get these sort of long and flowy sentences. I like to call them LF sentences, long and flowy. And then something that's very short, you know, short and sharp. So we get, you know, long and flowy, a little bit short, a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little shorter. So we're getting this really like back and forth, almost like waves at the ocean, or I like to think of it as memory. You know how your memory sort of waxes and wanes, like you can remember some things really clearly, but you don't remember everything, and it's kind of fuzzy. That's what we sort of have going on here, is this back and forth of thought, sort of show us how wispy your memories can be, and then boom, down here, never. So we're having this really sort of memorable moment of this event in his life, and we come back with that really short, sharp, intense never, like a door slamming shut on the discussion. One of the other things that Wiesel does here with syntax is, of course, he's starting all of his sentences the exact same way, with never shall I forget, never shall I forget. In literature, we call that anaphora. That's a literary device where you start all your sentences the same way. That's an impact. That repetition is really like hammering home that this is the important element. The fact that Elie Wiesel is never going to be able to get this out of his mind, even if he wants to. It is burned into his memory forever. So, and another thing that you can look at when you're seeing, and he does that to sort of emphasize the importance. Like it's there, it's forever. And another thing that he does that is syntactical, or that's using syntax, is the way in which he arranges the words. So he does a little bit of that inverted syntax because word order matters. So inverted syntax is sometimes when you flip the words in a sentence around and it sounds a little odd. Yoda does this, do or do not, there is no try. We would say there is no try, do or do it. Like we would say something like that, but an inverted syntax gives you the ability to order the words in such a way as to emphasize some of them. So one of the things he does is he orders the words to emphasize this I will never forget aspect, that it's here forever, but he also is emphasizing the noun, the subject. He is never going to forget that night. He is never going to get that smoke. He's never going to get the small faces of children. He's never going to forget those flames. He's never going to forget the nocturnal silence. He's never going to get those moments that murdered my God. He's never going to forget those things. He doesn't have to say what those things are, but the emphasis there is on the overwhelming atrocities he's seen. So by putting that subject there, that noun there, so close to that repetitive never shall I forget phrase, you know exactly the thing that is eating at his mind and his heart and his soul. It's those particular things. So like he does that really well in that small sentence where he's like, never shall I forget that smoke. We would say something like, I cannot forget that smoke. We'd start with the I, but he's starting with that never to make a stronger, more impactful statement. The other thing that you're going to see here that I want to emphasize real quickly is doing a sort of a deep dive on this sentence right here. Never shall forget those moments that murdered my God and my soul and turned my dreams to ashes. This is one of the only places that we get the and. So this sentence sort of drags out a little bit more. Never shall I forget those moments that murdered my God and my soul and turned my dreams to ashes. So lumping all of these things into one sentence with those ands, those conjunctions, indicates that they're all related. The Nazis stole God from him. He loses this faith. And with his loss of God, he loses his soul. And with his soul, he loses his dreams of sort of being this godly man. So those ands in that sentence and linking these things together in one compound sentence emphasizes the great loss here of this particular moment. The Nazis killed his faith. And that's a big loss, especially for a person like Elie Wiesel, whose religion was everything to him. Okay, so that's a little bit of our syntax discussion. I hope that helped. Good luck.